Oh, there we go. Good evening, welcome. Sipura Maisius, Maisim, Chocham Vatam. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Let's take a quick look at our story and see what's going on here. So, last time we learned about the Tam, the Simpleton, that he was very Tmimisdik, was very happy. His Minigli was very happy, and he had any kind of food and drink. He could actually taste all the taste in the food and the drinking that he did because of his great simplicity, and we spoke about that. And we said that ultimately all the tastes and of all the food and all the drinks and all the malbushim, all the clothes, they all have they all have a single source, a single shirish, single root. And when a person is totally tmimisdik, which means that he holds in the madrega of just Kodesh Baruch Hu alone. He has what he has. He has what a Kodesh Baruch Hu, what Kodesh Baruch Hu says, and he just follows it straight. When he manages to actually capture, that madrega of the shirish of everything, because of its mimas, that already includes everything. That includes all the tastes in the world. We say that this alludes to, the man, which a person could, taste all the foods, all the tastes in the world, and same with the Be'er Miriam, that a person could taste all different beverages that he want. And we have Danone covered, which basically made all the malbushim that they ever needed, all the garments that they ever needed. They said that the baby was born with a garment, and the garment grew together with him, and the Anuna covered would press it and clean it, and it was. I mean, it had all the malbushim that they ever needed, and that this lemaisa also, we're talking about food, you're talking about drink, you're talking about the light that comes, the ora pnimi, that's the light that comes in, that's the highest that you have from everything, and then you have the covered, you have the malbush. The malbush is called covered. It's also it's called shmira. It's the shmira of the emuna, um, and therefore it is possible to actually contain all the tastes and all the of all the foods and all the beverages. In other words, when the garments are proper, Rabbeinu explains in Terevov that when a person is running away from his own personal covet and he is seeking um, the covet of Kodesh Baruch Hu, that enables him to have a keli to contain all the light and interpret all the light. It's the important thing to understand over here, and this is one of the basic principle of this story, and it's one of the guiding principles of Yiddishkeit, is that the main kavanah, as Rabbeinu says in Torah Aleph, the first, the Torah Aleph was not the first Torah that Rabbeinu said. But I think that in the first Tikkutim Aran that was printed, it wasn't even printed as Torah Aleph. But nevertheless, it was later on put as Torah Aleph. And the reason why Torah Aleph is Torah Aleph Likutei Moharan is because um, it says the principles is ki ish Israeli, that a Jew, tzarich listakel b'chochma v'asechel shel b'chol davar, has to look in the chochma and the sechel that exists in every single thing. Uh, this is the absolute guiding principle of Hasidus, no matter what type of Hasidus it is. It means this world was created in order for me to be able to receive and to understand, to have a relationship with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, find out and get guidance, what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants from me, and get close to Him. This is it. There's no other reason in this world. What happens is that when a person goes over the basic rule that anything that happens to me is a Kadosh Baruch Hu, is from a Kadosh Baruch Hu, and it is in order for me to get close to Him. Then I look at everything that comes my way, and I'm able to find what is the message that the Kadosh Baruch Hu sends me through that, and I'm able to use that particular thing. I'm connecting myself to that seichel, and I'm able to use that thing, to get closer to HaKadosh Baruch Hu through that thing. This is, in a nutshell, the inyan of Torah Aleph. That's the inyan of this world. When we're talking about plurality, of life, it basically means there's a Kadosh Baruch Hu, and where is the Kadosh Baruch Hu? Kadosh Baruch Hu is in shul. It's I go, I daven a minyan, Kriyas Torah, whatever it is, and then when I'm done, I go back home. I have a life. I have food. This is the food that I like. That's the food that I like a bit less, and so forth and so on. The Kodesh Baruch Hu is confined either to shul or the times that I have a shir. This is when, this is when I deal with Kodesh Baruch Hu. The rest of the time, I don't know, what am I, chopped liver? I'm also, I have a metzias. I have the main akuda is that, so since we say that the main thing is to look for the chokhmah and the seichel that exists in everything, and to connect yourself to the chokhmah and everything, so supposedly the tam, the simpleton, represents the antithesis of that. Supposedly the chokham should be the one. You need chokhmah. Belev kol, chokham lev, tzasi chokhmah. The Kodesh Baruch Hu yahiv chokhmah lechakim. The Kodesh Baruch Hu gives wisdom to the wise. So why are we putting on a pedestal the tmimus? Because the answer is that, as Rabbeinu says in Torah Aleph, that the light of the chokhmah is so overwhelming that the only way to receive that light is through tmimus, is through emunah. As we say, the chacham, it's not in vain that the tam is a shoemaker. I mean, a shoe is the most basic garment. It says, La'olam yimkor adam kol ma sheyesh lo, and let him buy shoes. It says that the Zohar Kodesh says anybody that is walking around barefoot is bayadua that he's a balavir. I heard from a Revel Cheshen that he said that anybody who walks around, barefoot it's bayadua that he is a balavir. The most basic garment is a shoe. It protects the feet which delve in this world, that delve with the chitzonium, with protection, the basic protection. It's called chashmal, it's called malbush, this is the basic protection for a person. Now, once a person takes the emuna, the malchus, Rabbeinu says, Aleph, Pchinas Nun, whatever it is, and he approaches everything in the world from the point of view of emuna, then as he advances, naturally, the light on the chokhmah of that thing becomes apparent to him. There's a story about Rav Issa Zalman Meltzer, was a very great Rosh Yeshiva. He was a Talmud of Reb Chaim of Brisk. He came to Israel, they made him Rosh Yeshiva of Etz Chaim in Yerushalayim, and he was a very, very great man, and great honor, and a very kind person, very inclusive kind of person, and whenever the Talmidim would come to him, to be tested, to be fahered, they always had a good time. He was always mekarv everybody, and everybody made everybody happy. Everybody felt comfortable. So it so happened that in one of the times that yeshiva came, I don't know if it's a yeshiva Ketana, yeshiva Gdola, I don't know, whatever, the cheder, I don't know. And with the Magid they came to him, and they had, as they have merry time, was had by all. When suddenly they hear from the kitchen, the Rebbetzin going, "Oi, the milk spilt over." Okay. So Rabbi Zalman Meltzer became very serious, and he told the Talmidim, "Please, if you can just, wait for a minute." And he went to the kitchen, and coming back, he told the Talmidim and their Magid if they can please excuse them, they'll be right back. Please wait for them. And both he and the Rebbetzin, they left the house, and about 20 minutes later, they came back. They were happy, and they continue with the faher, with the tests and everything, and everybody was happy. At the end, everybody was obviously very, very curious to find out, what went on, what's the story, but they were not going to ask anything. So at the end, the Magid Shir, relieved everybody by saying, we heard, the milk spilled, and then the Rosh Yeshiva went, and the Rebbetzin went and left. Maybe there's something we can help or whatever. So Rabbi Zalman Meltzer told him, "I'll tell you what happened, and the reason I'm going to tell you what happened is because this is Torah, and we have to learn." So he says he went to when he heard that the Rebbetzin said that the milk has spilled over, for him it was no such thing as the milk spilling over. Okay, so what's a big deal? It spilled over, you wipe it up. What's a big deal? No. If for Rav Issa Zalman Meltzer, Zecher Tzaddik Livrocha, everything that happened, was Ashgochas Hashem. And the question is, we need to find out what that means. If by Rabbi Zalman Meltzer's kitchen the milk spills over, there's a reason for it. So you went to the kitchen to speak to the Rebbetzin and find out, what's the reason that the milk spilled over? Maybe there was maybe some kind of a gram of chalav and basa or something. Maybe somebody took over a pot of milk over a flashing pot or something, and something. So what happened? So the Rebbetzin said, Chas v'chalila, everything is okay, nothing of that nature happened. Kol beseder, everything is. So they said, yeah, but something must have happened, to make the milk spill over. Now, it turns out that, in those days, and as I'm sure you know, those days also in America, milk used to be brought over to the houses first in containers, and then later on in bottles. And there was a milkman, the milkman whose job is to go ahead and distribute the milk, bring the milk every single morning, and hold the cheshbon of how much is necessary, and once a week, once a month, whatever it is, the people will pay. People will pay for the milk, and everything is done. So a milkman in Yerushalayim had all his life, he distributed the milk, and then Kenan Aharon became older, and he couldn't do it anymore. In those days, they didn't have Bituach Leumi, they didn't have, pension, didn't have, 401k, they didn't have any of these things. So a person still needs to eat. So I figured, well, what are you doing? And he knew everybody knew him. So I figured, listen, what can he do? He can't carry the milk around anymore. But what he will do is that he had a list of all his customers. So every single day he would go, he designated, the customers day by day, and he would go to a few of his past customers and ask for some tzedakah, and give him a few pennies. But he had much money. Nobody had money in those days, but they gave a few prutas, a few pennies, whatever it is, and Baruch Hashem, they looked like that. The Rebbe Zalman Meltzer asked the Rebbe and says, "Today is Rosh Chodesh, right?" So yes. Apparently, the Rabbi Zalman Meltzer house, the old milkman would come to their house every Rosh Chodesh. He divided all the different customers according to the days of the month, because he needed to eat every day. So he would go to and each one would give him, a few pennies, and this is how we lived. And I don't know if Rabbi Zalman Meltzer was on Rosh Chodesh because of the Aleph of Issa Zalman Meltzer, or because it was Yeshiva, whatever. That was his day, that the milkman would come to ask for tzedakah. So he asked the Rebbe and says, "That is Rosh Chodesh." He says, and that's the day, but they lived on the second floor. So he asked the Rebbe and he says, "Did the milkman come today to ask, for his tzedakah?" So the Rebbe says, "I don't know." I says, "What do you mean you don't know?" He, the Rosh Yeshiva went to Yeshiva. The Rebbetzin, she said that she went out and she went to the market or whatever it is. You're allowed to go out of the house, So she doesn't know. She came back. She didn't see anything. She doesn't know. And so they became very alarmed. Maybe the milkman came and there was nobody home. The old milkman went up two stories, knocked on the door, there was nobody home. So immediately, he put his coat on, and the Rebbetzin put her coat on, and they went out. They went to the house of that milkman. They knock on the door. He opens the door and says, "Rosh Yeshiva," and the Rebbetzin, "Wow, welcome," whatever. And they asked him this. They said, "Did you come to our house today?" And he said, "Yes." And they started begging for Mechila, "Please excuse us, for not being home when you came. and you went up two stories and came down for nothing. So the old milkman said, "It really is no big deal. I mean, I said, okay, so I went up. A person is allowed to go out of the house. He says, if it's not today, I would have come tomorrow. It's not a. He says, no, no. They asked for tremendous. We'll give you the money. We'll give you the stock. We'll give you, more than we usually give you. But please, please, please be moichel us for not being home, during the time that you usually come. So, I mean, the milkman thought that this is a bit ridiculous, but if these tzaddikim are begging for such mechila, says okay, it's mochel, 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 whatever. And they took the money and they went back home. They went back home and everything is fine, everything is happy, or whatever. The gist of the point, Rabbi Zalman explained to the Talmidim is when you live with the Kadosh Baruch Hu, B'tmimis, HaKadosh Baruch Hu communicates to you through everything. When you're going with Chochmas, everything becomes separate from HaKadosh Baruch Hu. One food becomes, well, I like this one better than that one, or I like this better than that, I like this food prepared this way better than prepared that way, and so forth and so on. But when a person is with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, then whatever food is food. I'm eating in order, to serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The point is, you're allowed to taste in the food. You can have, the kind of food that you like. The point is, I mean, there's certain foods you can't even eat. It's normal. Whatever. The question is, what is the kavanah of eating food? If your kavanah of eating food is because you want to have koyach to come closer to Kodesh Baruch Hu. So beseder, what kind of, how particular you are according to the taste? Listen, people go through different stages in their lives, of how important taste is and whatever it is. Beseder, it's normal. But it's not something that especially, I mean, the more emphasis you put on this particular avodah, the quicker you are able to taste all the tastes that you want in every food that you eat, or any drink that you drink, and any clothing that you wear. Uh, the everybody has his own pace. Everybody has his own. So basically, the nekuda of the tam was that everything for him was the union of Tmimis. The question is, how does it get close to HaKadosh Baruch Hu? Let's just take a quick look at the text, and we'll continue that as well. Here we go. So his wife would give him whatever clothing he needs. Everything was the same. The same coat was fit for everything. It was one size fit all, literally. Okay, and now, and because of everything, he was delighted with everything, and he praised what a nice, fine silk robe it is, etc. He was only filled with joy and happiness always. Okay, now we're getting to his work, to his avodah. When he would finish a shoe, and usually it would have 3 corners, because he wasn't able to accomplish his craft perfectly. He would take the shoe in his hand, and he would praise it highly, and he would have tremendous delight from it. He would say, my wife, what a fine, wonderful shoe this is. How sweet this shoe is. What a shoe of honey and sugar this shoe is. So his wife would ask him, no, if so, why do other shoemaker take 3 gold pieces for a pair of shoes? When you get only, 1.5 gold pieces. It's interesting that Rabbeinu in the original, Rabbeinu actually uses a different lashon, and when the wife asks him, why did other people take twice the money that he did, Rabbeinu said, why do they take, 3 gold coins, and you take only half a taler, which matzah basically is a coin and a half. What's the difference between the terminology, which in this text over here we do not see? So he said, "What do I care?" He would respond, "That is his work, and this is my work. And why should we speak about other people? Let's start to think how much profit I clear from this shoe." By the way, this particular paragraph is jam packed with different inyanim and different limudim. What do I care? This is his work, and this is my work. That's the first lesson that we're learning here. In the original, it says, "Ze inyan shaloi v'ze inyan shali." This is his matter, and this is my matter. That's the one thing. The second lesson over here, and why should we speak about other people? That's the second lesson over here. And the third is here. Let's start to think how much profit I clear from this shoe. The lather costs X amount. The tar and the thread, etc., cost that much. Other items of this sort cost that much. The tongue, or in the original, basically means that the leather that you put in between the two letters, the filler, costs so much. So I clear a profit of 20 coins. What does it matter with a clear profit like this? It says, in the original, it says, what do I care? I make, such a great profit of 20 coins. What does it matter with a clear profit like this? The syntax is a bit twisted. In other words, why should I be unhappy when I'm making 20 coins? The language is, what do I care? What is the with a clear profit like that? And he was only filled with happiness and joy always. The first thing that we're talking about is the shoe. The shoe is Anash for years and years was saying, only what is the shoe represents the union of tefillah. And usually a regular shoe has, two ends. It has one sharper end in the front and one, around it from the back. And from the side, where the arch is, there's a gentle corner where, after that where the shoe actually, comes out a bit, and before the shoe goes into the front. So when the shoemaker doesn't really know his craft very well, so that part that comes out, the bunion, whatever it is, when it comes out, it looks like another corner. So this is his shoe, had 3 corners, as opposed to the usual 2, the more, inclusive kind of way. In other words, this is a shoe only b'di'evet. It's a shoe only, for those who cannot afford, the expensive shoes. At the end of the Ma'aser, Rabbeinu said that the shoe is representative of the tefillah. And when the tefillah is not the way it's supposed to be, it has three corners. And Rabbeinu says, and Mina Stam, the shoe that he made had three corners. Mina Stam is just like Mina Stam is not just a word. It means that the tefillah, his tefillah, was a shtickle stam. Means that the kind of tefillah that one is wont to pray on a daily basis, meaning I was mechaven, I wasn't mechaven, I have patience, I don't have patience, I feel like davening, I don't feel like davening. That is called stam. The main difference between the to look in the seichel amiti that exists in every single thing, as opposed to living life, quote unquote, the way most of us live, to one extent to another, is that particular inyan of stam. Stam means for no reason. Stam. Just because. I want to take the scenic route. Why? Stam. Stam means that there's no reason, there's no overriding reason, there's no, as Star Trek used to call, there's no prime directive behind absolutely everything. There is altogether, as they call, in the largest sense, what they call in Hebrew, they call begadol. Kodesh Baruch Hu, and you have to serve a Kodesh Baruch Hu, you have to do what Kodesh Baruch Hu wants, and so forth and so on. But in the small details of life, there's a stam. Okay, stam, okay. Why dafka this? Why not? Why dafka do this? Why not? The tefillas that somebody like me davens in the morning have a lot of stam in it. And it's not necessarily just, to put myself down and say, how dare you? What kind of a... Listen, there are adversaries that are standing before us that propagate the illusion that it's of a stam. That life is stam. So in order to give life some kind of a meaning, so what we usually, as Rabbeinu says in Torah Aleph, so people artificially imbue life, inject life with either a fake importance or a fake chen. So they say, let's make a sport, and people will play football or basketball or baseball. And yes, so what about it? No. Listen. When you look at it, is, there is a lot of points of beauty and expertise in the way that a person swings the bat, the way that the person soars up to the basket and dunks, and a shot, in soccer, or a throw in football, whatever it is. And then you say, okay, we should have this player, or should we have this player? Should we have this tactics, or we should have that tactics? Should we play defense this way and the offense this way? We have shooters from the outside, and long distance and short distance, and whatever it is. So now they have all kinds of theories which are important within the scheme of something that ultimately is a result of the basic notion that nothing matters at all. It's stam. Being it laf is stam. So what are we going to do? Just be bored? Like they asked Mel Brooks, 2,000-year-old man, what was early television? He said he was standing inside a cave, and he says whatever passed in front of the cave, that was the show. I mean, it's like there's nothing. There's no rhyme or reason to anything. Everything is invented. So, dafka, when the davening comes, when the real reason comes, there's a tremendous yitzhahara. To treat that as stam. Listen, I gotta daven in the morning because that's what I do. Each and every person has his own degree of motivation and dedication into davening, but nevertheless, there can be a great degree of stam, of a stara. In fact, dafka during davening, this is when all the bilbulim come. This all the confusions come. All the lessons, I don't want to daven, I don't want to this, I'm not going to minyan, all these things come dafka there. Rabbeinu says that during davening, the light of Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov is being revealed. And they all come together as one light. That is meaning when the tefillah is made properly. When the shoe is mina stam, has three corners, means that you don't get the lights of Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, combining together to come with the tiferes. But there's a lot of stam in my tefillah. There's a lot of, okay, I gotta daven, in my tefillah. The Nakuda is that the Tam himself was extremely happy with that tefillah. His wife said, why are you so happy with that particular tefillah? All the other, shoemakers, in other words, the people who daven properly, they take 3 zehuvim. They take 3 gold coins. Avram, Yitzchak, Yaakov. The lights of that tefillah is properly, and you just take half a taler. You take just a half of this coin, which means your tefillah is only doing half. You're only davening half the tefillah. You're only putting half. You're only doing half-hearted effort. You're only putting half-hearted effort into the prayer. So the great lessons of what the Tam is contributing at this particular point in time is as follows. First of all, this is what other people do. They have, expanded consciousness. They can learn. They can daven. They can wake up chatzos. They can daven vasikin. They can break the ice in the river and toivel in the middle of the winter. They can do all that thing. Zay nyan shali. This is me, Maybe I don't even go to shul to daven in a minyan. Sometimes yes, sometimes no. I don't know. Should be embarrassed. They're getting 3. 3. You're only doing half a He says, this is their Indian, this is my Indian. And the lesson is that why do I have to talk with somebody else? Because when I talk of somebody else, when I compare myself to somebody else, that means that I'm looking um, derisively at what it is that I'm doing and the effort that I'm putting in. And that's a bad brew. This is his Indian, this is my Indian. Whenever it is that I talk of others, it means that I'm losing the perspective. You know, I had I was a guest by a friend, said by a meal, a Shabbos meal, and so the Rebbetzin said to me, he said, "You're Breslov? I didn't know that you're Breslov." I says, "You're Breslov, yeah." So she asked me in a very mistake, was that? He says, "Are you uh, you're not one of those people who are dancing on top of the vans, right? In street corners, with the trance music." So I said, first of all, if I could do it, I would gladly, I'll take it right now with both hands, to be able to get up on the van and dance. If the, said Adobe, making other people happy, but Simcha, I would do that. So, that starts a whole conversation, whether this is Breslov or this is not Breslov. I said, what's it got to do with it? Do you know who these people are? Do you know what they bring to the table as far as abilities is concerned? What do you want from them? To sit down and learn Blood Gemara? If they could, they would. You want them to sit and learn Likutei Moharan? They probably do, and if they could, they would. Some of them, the only thing they can do is make other people happy. That's a small thing by you. So he says, maybe some of them are, smoking funny cigarettes to be in the mood to be able to dance on the vans. So that was asked by one of the Breslover, Choshever Breslover. He told me, you should know that some of these people, they smoke funny stuff. So I asked him, did they start smoking that funny stuff once started dancing on the vans? Or were they funny stuff smokers from before and only dancing now? He says they probably were smoking before. So what do you want from them? What do you want them to do? Do you want them to jump from the window? What do you want them to do? That's the Avodas Hashem they can do. He says, I went to by train to Tel Aviv station. I remember Elazar of Savido, whatever that came out, and there was a van, and on the van, came the toof, 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 Abi Nachman, Nachman Me'oma, with all that music. And it says the people laugh. Yeah, people laugh, but they start laughing, but it's not that funny. I mean, it's a little amusing in the beginning, but after a while, it's sense that there are people on the van and they're dancing and they're singing. It's not that funny. It's not like Groucho Marx or whatever movie, whatever it is. Okay, some people are dancing, whatever it is. You notice that the minute that they stop laughing at these people who are dancing, there's a certain kind of levity, a certain kind of simcha. This is to everybody. Okay, so it's Mr. Shtusa, but they themselves, I noticed, I became happy. I became a simcha. I mean, I wouldn't dance because I'm embarrassed. because I have my quote unquote cover to protect. But these people, Vakasha, Lamallah, fantastic. So my host told me, you know something? I hear you. If not, if they wouldn't do that, maybe there would be somewhere, I don't know, in a crack den or whatever, and doing whatever. I said, I don't know about that, but what I can definitely tell you is that each and every one of these people is living a complete life, meaning he was born and he is alive and he will leave this world. And that lifetime is a must for the existence of this world. Forget about the fact that we don't know each and every one of those who are standing, dancing on vans or standing in street corners giving out these booklets may be giving Kadosh Baruch Hu bigger nachas ruach that you and I put together. That it's very, very possible. But even beyond that, the fact that we're talking about them and they are low and I am high, or the other way around, I'm low and they're high, means that I'm not where it's at. Ze inyan shalo, v'ze inyan shali. This is his thing and this is my thing. In truth there isn't anybody else. Nobody else exists ultimately except for you and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Everybody else is just there for you to give them, to help them, to daven for them, or to stay away from them. If they're chas v'chalila rishayim, whatever it is, not to learn from them. The philosophers they stay away. But they are all servants of the prime directives between you and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. The minute that you see somebody else who is wealthier than you or is poorer than you, and it makes a difference. The minute that you see, not in the sense that, listen, somebody is more wealthy and you need tzedakah, you need to go to him. Or somebody's poorer than you and you have to give him tzedakah. Adab, forget, somebody else's gashmias is my ruchnias. Bevadai. But that thing that I classify people as higher or lower means I'm not looking right at my avodah. I don't appreciate my avodah. And what he tells her is as follows. He says, let's take a look on what do I get out of this, of this shoe that I know. It's a tefillah that might have very, very little kavanah in it. I may doing it a lot faster than I really should. And everything else that comes along with that. But let's take a look. It says, let's look at the leather, which is the gashmias. With how much gashmias do I come to the davening? I mean, that gashmias comes to me naturally. This is who I am. I'm a human being who lives in this world. And the tar, this is the filthy machshavas that exist in my thoughts. Whatever it is that I'm bringing from the past. And so forth and so on. Every single thing is that I'm taking all these shards of kedusha that fell, all these kilkulim that whatever it is that I need to, and I put it together, and I make a tefillah out of it. So the tefillah, when you look at it from an objective point of view, may have three corners, but nevertheless, I get a profit out of this. Means I manage to make a tikkun. I manage to make this leather softer, the gashmias, the body softer, more open to the suggestions of the neshama and of the tzaddik. I'm able to stay away from filthy machshavas and being tikkun to things that I have done. The name of the game, the big achievement beyond everything is that what do I care if I make such a profit? In other words, why should I look down? Why should I look down my nose, at whatever profit that I'm making? I have now, after this particular prayer, of this particular davening, this particular thing, something I didn't have before, and that thing I have forever. It's a forever achievement. To be happy not only with my gashmias, but to be happy with my kakamemi ruchnias. This is the name of the game. A. Ze inyan shaloi, ze inyan shali. This is his inyan. This is my inyan. He can have, the grand moichen of whatever, and I have the kleine moichen. Fine, no problem. This is his tikkun. This is my tikkun. His tikkun is sit down and learn the Gemara, and my tikkun is to dance on Vans. Alalai. Fine, no problem. This is mine. This is mine. No problem. Second thing is, why should I speak of others? The minute that others come into view and there's comparisons going on, it means I am off track. As to the measly profit that I'm shown from what I do, my tefillah has 3 corners. It means I'm not able to do the ultimate tikkun. So what? I came that much more gashmias into it, and I was able to be masakin this much. I came with these, tar, maisim, and machshavas, and I was able to clear that much. I was able to stitch this thing together. I was able to zeicha this with this together. I'm taking this with me, and it's forever. It's a lot. It's a little. What do I care? Means what does it mean? What do I care? It means that I don't even know what's a little and what is a lot. When it comes to that, I don't know what it is I'm capable of. It seems to me that I have enough talent, and this I should be. I don't know what. Says who? You only have that which is in front of you. Kamatmimis, and absolutely love that which you're doing. And it's only when you relate to what you do with such love and affection, what a gewaldige prayer it was, what kind of davening it was. The Rabbeinu says, honey, sugar. Honey, sugar, honey is already, it's already rachamim, sugar is kol chesed, deep in yonim that exist in that. In this tefillah of mine that I hardly meant anything from beginning to end. If I am able to be happy with the pathetic state, seemingly pathetic state, of my avodah, of my learning, I will end up learning more and davening more, because if I love what I do, I will invest more in what I do. But if my davening and my learning are simply source of frustrations, guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to stay away from it. It's not just, a psychological, game going on kind of thing. That, listen, I'm going to speak to you and I'll give you chizuk for this so that you'll feel a bit better about yourself. And it's not that. There's profit in it. There's profit in it. And he says, 20 coins. 20 coins, Rabbeinu says, In Teravav, this is Chaf, this is Kavod. This is the Chokhmah itself, because the letter Yud, when you spell it out, Yud Vav Daled, in Gematria is 20. You're zecher to Pchinas Chokhmah. You're zecher to a Nekuda Amitis that the profundity of your achievement is way, way, way beyond anything that you can comprehend. The thing that stands in front of my eyes and doesn't let me see that is, yeah, but what about others? Look where I am. Davening, okay, I daven, but look at him. You know, he's able to make his bed those 5, 6, 8 hours a day. He's davening the entire davening with kavona, or yes, no, he's putting all his koiches into it. His shmonesh, 5, 10 minutes, and now 3 minutes flat, I'm done. Whatever it might be, it doesn't. The minute I look at others, Gashmis, Ruchnis, comparatively, means I'm off kilter, because there's only one in front of my eyes. There only should be one in front of my eyes. That's me and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Whatever I do is wonderful. And when I realize that it is truly wonderful, first of all, it is wonderful. But when I see this, and I want to see how wonderful it is, next time I will put more into it, because it becomes my thing. HaKadosh Baruch Hu answers you. There's a whole adventure going on in it. Avodas Hashem is by far the most riveting journey on earth, by far. B'ezrat Hashem, next week we will learn how he handles, how society around him looks at him and reacts to what he does and the way he does things. In Mitzvah Hashem, Wednesday we have Shir Likutei Moharan Torah Chaf Beis, and Thursday Mitzvah Hashem we have a Shir in the Breslovus Medrash, also available on Zoom, and of course Mitzvah Shabbos. We'll just stop here.